Welcome back to Epic Higher Ed, a YouTube channel for compassionate instructors striving to improve teaching and learning in higher ed through innovative pedagogy. In this video, I'm going to share 3 things that I learned after the first week of remote teaching and learning that I am going to be acting on throughout the rest of the semester to improve my students and my experience going forward. And I hope that these things will help you improve the experience for your students and yourself. The very first thing I learned, and I think this might be something that we all experience, tech is going to fail. It is. No matter how much planning and prep and training and everything that we do, we are not in full control of the technology we are using, and it will fail. And this last week was an example of that. I think Monday through Thursday, there was a major tech outage across the United States. And the first day we had both Zoom and Blackboard Learn, our learning management system, going down. I even heard that there were reports of Canvas having issues. The only learning management system that I didn't hear having issues was Google. The second day we had more Zoom outages and Kaltura, which is a video software that's housed in a lot of LMSs. On Wednesday, again, more Blackboard outages, and Thursday, Kaltura had issues again as well. So major outages every day last week. So with the tech failing, what I realized is that I need to have alternatives and a plan ready to go, and that it is worth my time to take an hour or two now to plan for that inevitable. What will be my alternatives? What will it look like? We're in the middle of a global pandemic. Things are hard, and depending on how these tech outages go, missing a day is not the end of the world. So keep that in mind. But my goal was to come up with something that we can keep students going with. Having an email list separate from Blackboard and your email manager or your client portal for faculty is really powerful. So you have an email list so you can contact your students from your phone or from somewhere else if you need to get a hold of them. So an external email list, which was really easy, just copying and pasting it to a separate document on my computer. I also bookmarked Google Meets. Google seems to be much more robust than some of these other platforms and can handle the higher loads of users. And so if Zoom goes down, Google Meets is a great alternative if you need that face-to-face component. And the other piece is making sure that my content was available to me somewhere other than Blackboard. There were times where Zoom was working, but Blackboard wasn't, and the videos that I had just embedded and hosted and essentially lived within Blackboard weren't accessible to me. So making sure I have those videos in a file on an external hard drive or in Dropbox or my Google Drive that I can access the videos that I want my students to watch, the hyperlinks, the files, having those somewhere else besides Blackboard is super helpful. So that's what I suggest you try to do, is come up with an alternative plan for tech outages. And it's okay to just say, things are down, it's a pandemic, take a breather today. The second thing I learned is that every instructor is doing things differently. The way I operate my classes and structure them is I have these course modules. The first one is 2 weeks long, and then after that they're about 4 or 5 weeks long each. This allows me to cover a big topic, and I call these course modules, and I have for years. However, I started getting all these emails and questions wondering what students should be doing. And I had created this amazing module map that you see on your screen here that goes through weekly checklists. And I told my students, all you have to do is follow the checklist and you will be successful in this class. However, they also have their expectations over here for the grade for the entire module. And so this module here is 2 weeks long. And so students saw assignment 2, lab 1, quiz 1, and then in week 1, They didn't see any of this. And so I got flooded with these emails saying, Dustin, where is quiz 1? I don't want to fail this module. Where is lab 1? I don't want to fall behind week 1. Where is assignment 2? I can't find these things. And I had walked them through this map and everything before, up to this point, so I'm wondering what is going on. And even in using this map, if they just scroll down here to week 2, the checklist for week 2, they will see that lab 1 is right there. Quiz 1 is right there. Assignment 2 is right there. So they're planned. And this may look like a lot, but it's a step-by-step. It's a checklist. And I got a lot of amazing feedback from my students saying this is so helpful to them. Unsolicited emails coming in saying, thank you for being organized so that I don't have to figure out your class. And yet I had a lot of these students that were also confused. And so trying to get to the bottom of this, I was asking and talking with my students, and many of their other instructors have every week being a module in and of itself. The way other classes that they're taking are structured completely different, where weeks are modules. So they see these expectations for this module and they think they need to do it all in 1 week. Even here coming down to the next one, they think that they had to do all of this in 1 week. This really highlighted for me that not only are we as instructors having to figure out this online learning process, but our students are having to figure it out as well and figure out every different instructor and the way they're doing it. I think the best way to approach this is giving grace to students when they're trying to figure out your course. It's going to take them a little bit. And that was a reminder that I had to give myself. And I'm like, this is so straightforward. Why are they struggling? And it's because their semester and their classes are blurring together. I've gotten multiple questions being like, hey, I saw the email you sent out about this and that and this. And I was like, that wasn't me. And they're like, oh, shoot, that must have been from another instructor. And so the fact that students don't have the physical separation between classes like they would on campus, they're sitting in one spot, taking all their classes, it all starts to blend together. I know it blends together for me, so it's definitely blending together for them. And not only that, but every instructor has different expectations, different organization, and different structure. And that's okay. But our responsibility as instructors is to make sure your organization is as clear and straightforward as possible. This is what will help your students. For me, I had to choose to give grace to students as they figured this out, but also choose to trust in my system, knowing that it's a good one, and knowing that this module map with weekly checklists, as soon as students really kind of get used to using it, they will figure out if they just go down the line and check these things off, they will succeed in my course. The third thing that I learned is that students are utterly exhausted. I'm breaking the rules of my video here because I am making this during week 2, but this was hit home for me during week 2, but I started to learn it during week 1. Students are Zoom fatigued. They are exhausted. They are worn out already. I know I am. By the end of the day, my eyes are burning. I am tired. I can barely think straight, especially after 7 straight hours on Zoom. It's brutal. And I've had a couple of afternoon labs that are just quiet. These same students are engaging during lecture courses earlier in the day with me, but when we come to lab, they are quiet, they are subdued, they are zony and not focused and not interacting or engaging. And so I was trying to figure out what this was, and we know that we have different cohorts that oftentimes one cohort of students will be more engaged and active and talkative, and other ones will be quiet, even in-person classes. This is how it can go. But the fact that these students were engaging in other ways in other times made me question if this is just a cohort thing or if it's this group of students. And I asked them, I said, out of curiosity, how long have you been on Zoom today? Because, right, this is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had students reporting that they have had back-to-back classes with about a half an hour break or maybe an hour break since 8 a.m. So that's 7 straight hours there, and they're starting a 2-hour lab with me. So they're looking at 9 a.m. or 9 hours straight on Zoom, sitting there trying to be engaged and focused. And then other students were like, well, this is my second one of the day, but I'm scheduled to go till 9 p.m. tonight. There was no student in that lab who hadn't been on Zoom for consecutive hours leading into that class. What am I going to do about this? How am I going to help revitalize the energy for this lab? And I think a couple of things that I'm going to do is, instead of asking them to come together with me for 2 hours in a group of 15, I'm going to break them into smaller groups of 4 or 5 and ask them to do 30 hyper-focused minutes with me. I can engage them better. They can meet other classmates and have closer relationships and engagement with them and create ongoing like study groups and work groups. And I think that 30 focused minutes with me and just a couple of other classmates will be of much more value than 2 hours of less focused, less engaged time with 15 other classmates. So that's the first step that I'm going to do, is break them into small groups and ask them to come for hyper-focused time, which means that they'll have to complete some of their responsibilities more asynchronously, but it'll make the synchronous portion of this class more valuable. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start these 30-minute sessions. Instead of starting them at 3, I'm going to start them at like 3:15 or 3:20. I want to give students a chance to get up, move around, take a breath. And I'm going to tell them this. I'm going to explain exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I want them to have a chance to get outside, get a snack, use the restroom, those kind of things. Give them a chance in the middle of the day to revitalize themselves, recoup, take a breath, and come back in and get more focused. I'm hoping these things will work, and I hope that these ideas will help you navigate some of the things that you've learned in the first week. I would love to hear what you have learned after the first week or 2 of online and remote teaching down in the comments below. And I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. As a full-time educator, that really helps me not only spread the message to other compassionate instructors like yourself looking to innovate their classrooms, but it helps me to continue to do this despite being a full-time dad and a full-time educator. Looking forward to seeing you all in the next video.